Is time really an illusion? Well, in this video, I'm going to break down to you just very basically what the concept of time is in this physical material world as we understand, and how we can actually start to look at time as the concept it is and look at what lies underneath potentially. And this involves looking at the energetic construct of our reality as well. So, to start with, what we want to understand is that time, or as Eckhart Tolle would call it, clock time, is essentially a concept that that humanity has created. Okay, and it is an important construct for us to be able to function, for us to be able to get to our appointments on time, for us to be able to do the work that we need to do, and it allows us really to navigate the world. But is time how would I put it? Is time an aspect of reality, or is it just a conceptual idea? And what I would say is, to understand this, you want to look at the idea of the energetic and the physical and material worlds, okay? So the energetic and the spiritual and the physical material. It's the different words for the same thing as far as I'm concerned. And you really have to understand a couple of different ideas to be able to understand that the idea that time is a concept and what is beyond time as we see it. One of those ideas is to understand that we are almost entirely made up of energy, and the physical world that we believe to understand isn't as physical as we believe to understand. It is a projection. It is a projection that we have manifested, and we are consciously manifesting, each one of us, not just a collective manifestation of this reality, but a individual manifestation, because each of us with our senses are projecting, and using our senses with our body are projecting a sense of this reality. We are perceiving this reality as it comes to us. So the importance of understanding that energy, consciousness, is what allows this physical world to exist, helps us see that there is something deeper than what we perceive in the physical. And when we can allow ourselves to look deeper than what we have been taught as we have grown up to believe, in terms of the physical is the be-all in this world. You know, science is changing, but it's still commonly held belief that our consciousness is created, for one, it's created in the brain, and it comes, I don't want to say afterwards, but yeah, that's commonly what is accepted, that consciousness comes after the material form. But you have to understand that consciousness creates matter, and consciousness is the be-all and end-all. And this is what allows us to start to dive deeper. And you can use science to get to these answers. You know, when you start to look at quantum mechanics and quantum physics, you can see how a lot of these ideas are actually bridging spiritually known concepts, or knowings, I should really say. And it's knowing that your understanding, the more you start to dive into it, the more you ask yourself the question why to reality as you understand it, the more you can start to break self-limiting ideas that will potentially stop you from seeing the total expansion of what is in the world. Anyway, so to go back to the concept of time. The thing is, we all know that we're in this state of motion. And this state of motion, from a physical perspective and from the egoic perspective and the form of the mind, it seems like a linear progression. It seems like a linear progression because, for all intents and purposes, you look at, if you're watching this in the afternoon, you think back to when you had your breakfast. You can probably tell me what you had, or if you can't tell me, you can tell me the certain action that you've done earlier in the day. The same, you can think and project your ideas into the future of what you will do, and you know that there's a good possibility that in some form or another you will do that. Well, we have to realize that all projections into the future are just that. They are projections of a perceived reality that your brain, your mind is creating, that allows you to plot a course. It allows you to go, I have that appointment at 2 p.m, so I won't forget. And because of this state of motion, it allows us to before we even have the clocks, to monitor the sun and know that, actually, well, when it gets to this point here, that's I'm pretty sure that's about 2 o'clock, or before clock time would be, I don't know what they would have said, two fists past full noon, I don't know. But I've lost my track with that one. When you had the creation of time and the clock, it segments the day, just like the sun does. And our perception of the position of the sun in the sky, it just segments the day in terms of ways in which we can use to navigate the world. Now, in your mind, you might still say, well, that is a linear progression. But in another sense, if it's a cycle, a continuous cycle, is it a linear progression, or is it just a cycle? Is it just a continuous circle? If you had a wheel that was spinning, let's say a perpetual motion wheel, is it in a state of linear progression, or is it just in a stable state? Just throwing up the question there. And then to go back to the idea again, so you have the projection of the future, and then with the past, now you'd be like, well, yeah, but the past has happened. I might not be able to say that the future exists, but the past happened. And it is, again, to your mind, yes, the past happened. The past has happened. The actions that you took. There's no denying it. The actions that you have taken, you continue to take, those actions have consequences. An action that you have made in the perceived past can have a consequence on your present moment or in the perceived future. Or, as I would also like to say, the present past and the present future. Okay, And this is where we start to get into it a little bit more. It won't be a long video, but so each of your actions. So maybe I should just finish briefly about the past, okay? Because when you look into the past, it's just a memory of the past, and that memory is never a direct remembrance of the exact event as it played out. Just like when you have eyewitnesses to a murder or to a crime, it doesn't have to be a murder, they will never remember the memory the way it exactly happened. And that's because it's influenced by our emotional states. It is influenced by our state in the present as well. There's just no way, and it is a memory of an experience that has played out. Therefore, there is no actual past. Only in the idea of the mind. Only in the idea of the mind, which is this, its own projected form. Within the mind, we have the ego. The ego creates the idea of form. It allows us to truly differentiate experience. Okay, it allows us to recognize that a bed is a bed and a chair is a chair, etc. Beyond that, we have what we have in the present moment. So every second that you are here watching this video is just an eternal space of the present moment. And yes, you can look down at the counter you can watch the time going up, and you can go, well, this time is progressing. But the concept of time is progressing. The concept of what has been created is moving. But you are not moving. Everything else, so if you're sitting down in nature, and if you just sit and just be, and everything else is playing out around you, birds are flying by, perhaps people are walking along a path, and you see some squirrels climbing a tree. Everything is in that state of motion. But there is no time within that state of motion. There is just the present moment. It is only the concept of the human collective and the individual that allows and sustains the concept of time, which is why time can be seen as an illusion. And it's important. The more we start to do this work spiritually, and this took me a while to get, because I remember when it first started to come up, and I was like, oh yeah. And I remember it was sinking in on deeper levels, but I didn't really grasp it in its entirety. And I think that's because I didn't at the time have that separation between the mind and the collective mind, which allowed the facility and the conception of time, and this state of consciousness, which is what is all pervading, all perceiving. It is all that is, and it is the consciousness in which we, again, as much as we experience, and the mind can interpret the experience in different ways, the consciousness is what is giving out, and it is what is also receiving. Not just from us and from within and without, but also from all states of consciousness. And that idea of understanding the difference between how the mind allows the conceptualization of time, and to recognize that when we step out of the space of the mind, when we still the mind, we come into that present awareness, and we can come into the state of our true selves, which is that state of pure conscious awareness that allows us to recognize the eternal present moment which is playing out. And you have that choice of whether you are in reaction or action to the environment and the experience as it is playing out, or whether you are a witness to the experience as it is, as you are interpreting it, or as you were trying, even more so, as you were trying not to try to interpret your experience, just being in that state of being and witnessing, allowing the experience to unfold eternally in that present moment, when you're not caught in the concept of time, not caught in the mind, until it's about 1:30 and you need to start going to the appointment. So that's what I have for you today on time. I hope it's been beneficial. Let me know in the comments below if there's anything that you want me to expand upon. If you've got any other questions about any other ideas you want me to go over, or anything you want me to cover in other videos, please let me know. Other than that, please like and subscribe, as it helps me on the channel to grow. Obviously, I'm just getting out there, and I would love to help bring my perception of reality as I perceive it, know it, and as it is eternally unfolding to me, and to bring that to people in the best way that I can help to serve, and ultimately keep learning myself. Thank you very much. Have a beautiful, blessed day.